Hey everyone, welcome back to the Connecticut Driver's License video series. This is video one of the user interface. So, as you can see on the screen, we looked at our application in the last video. I need you to head on over to your code.org account, and if you head towards the unit that we are in, or reviewing, this is Unit 4, Variables, Conditionals, and Functions. So, this project is actually the culmination of this entire unit on variables, conditionals, and functions. So this is appearing in lesson 12. Now, I would like for you not to put that in 12, but I'd like for you to put this into the project section. So click back on my dashboard. And this should take you back to the main page, your dashboard, and then at the very top of the navigation, select Projects. From here, this will take you into any project without a tie to a course or unit or lesson. And we could come down to Start a New Project a little ways down the page. And there are four choices. We want to select App Lab for Application Laboratory. We're going to open that up, and on the screen will be a blank project. Now, first thing we want to do is put the name of our project in here. So click on Rename, and in this box here, you're going to type in Unit 2 CT Driver's License, and then finally your initials at the very end. So would you take a moment to do that right now? CT2, Connecticut Driver's License, and your initials, and then hit Save. Okay, at this point, now you're looking at a blank workspace, and I'd like to direct your attention right underneath the name. There are three toggles for Code, Design, and Data. We are going to focus on the design section first. And if you noticed on the left-hand side, the phone, the output or application output, it's in the shape of a phone, did not change, but the toolbox and workspace did. So what we're doing first is we're recalling your knowledge from your HTML and CSS days. Remember, HTMLs are structured elements. They basically take the space of rectangles on your screen, and we are able to style them with CSS properties. So to begin, we're going to select the first, and that is going to be screen 1 on your screen. So do me a favor. That is the first HTML element. Come on over to screen 1 and change the ID to Home. Once we do that, we're going to select the background color, select the box to the right-hand side, and we're going to use a hex reference of 213555. Okay. Now, a couple of things here. Notice the entire home screen changed to a background of that color. Where do you get the colors? There are in numerous locations on the website. One that I would direct your attention to for future projects is colorhunt.co. Notice colorhunt.co has different palettes or arrangements of colors that might blend together very well. And it provides you with those color hexadecimal references. You could click on one and copy it to your clipboard and bring it back to your project. Many color palette sources on the web are similar to ColorHunt. This is just where I used mine. So for this project, I'd like for you to use the color palette that I am using in the walkthrough. When it's time for you to do your own, that's when you will integrate your own style. Okay, so we've got our first element, the home page. And as you can imagine, it's probably the body tag on an HTML page. Now we want to bring over a heading or a header. So we have text input and text area. Text input does just what it says. It allows a user to text input in to be captured. We want the text area. This is not going to be a spot where we could actually have our user actually integrate or work with the page. So coming up on the screen is text area 3 for the ID. So let's change that ID to home header. And we'll find out later that the ID just gives us a reference to this HTML rectangle when we are changing things in JavaScript. We actually have to put what is seen on the screen. So we're going to type in under text, Connecticut driver's license. Okay. Now, notice there's a big white background here. I'm going to change the width of that to 320 and the height of that rectangle to 30. I want to change the positioning of that rectangle to 0, and I want to change the Y position to 10. So notice what happened here. The width went to full screen, just about 320 pixels. The height, I reduced that to 30, and we slid the actual full rectangle to start on the far left-hand side, very similar to an X position on a coordinate plane. We did drop this down. Notice there's a little bit of the background at the top. We dropped down the rectangle 10 pixels. Okay? All right, now this is still not what we want, so we are going to change a few things here. We're going to go into text color and change this to all white. And as you remember, hexadecimals are 0 to 9, A through F. 0 is black, F is white, so we're on the far extreme here. Now, if you noticed in the rectangle, the text kind of went away. We want to change the background color of this rectangle to match that of the actual page, 213555. Okay. Then we're going to change the font family to Lucinda Console, and we're going to change the font size to 25. Okay, so again, these are all decisions that were made in the planning process, and as you go from your prototype on paper to the user interface, you still may have some give and take and some playing to get exactly right. So right now, I am beyond that stage and just giving you what I kind of decided on as a final properties for this heading. All right, text alignment, we want to go to center. Border width, I'm going to keep at 1 right now. Eventually, we're going to change that. And border radius at 2. I'm going to keep it to 1 right now just to kind of remind us to the fact that HTML elements are rectangles, and that rectangle is taking the width and height desired, changed in our CSS styling from 320 to 320 wide as far as pixels and height of 30. Okay. That is it for our heading. So now a neat trick here is I want a subheading here. So the subheading is very similar to the heading we just set up. So I don't want to restart everything. I want to use some of the advantage that I have here. So I'm going to come to the far right-hand side of my workspace and select duplicate. And notice the ID change. So I'm going to slide the ID down just a bit here. And I want to change the ID from text area 4 to something that I could recognize. Home sub header. So we had home header, and now this is home subheader. And in Connecticut driver's license, I'm going to change this to the word requirements. And now the beauty of duplication is I'm going to go and keep this as a width of 320, height of 30, X position at 0, but the Y position we're going to change to 40 here. And everything else should stay the same with one exception. We're going to change the font size from 25 down to 16 so it appears to be not as big and bold. So if you remember your HTML days, the Connecticut driver's license would be similar to like an H1. Requirements would be kind of like an H2 or 3. Okay, so a couple of things. We have utilized or started developing the user interface for our application, we are integrating HTML elements. We've done 3 so far. The actual home screen. Each element needs its own identifying ID. We have the header for Connecticut driver's license and the subheading for requirements. And once we brought in those elements, we actually changed the properties, the CSS properties, to match how we would like them on our final application. So at this stage, we're going to stop here. In the next video, we're going to continue with the page 1 user interface. So we will see you in the next one, everybody.